mwanasheria kikatiba na pia is a Pan-Africanist. Tuko na Daktari Ekuru Aukot party leader THIRDWAY Alliance, na tuko na president mwenyewe Nelson Havi, president LSK, na leo amekuja na anaitwa Miganda ama ni Maganda ama ni Magwanda.
Wengi wa Kenya hamna ufahamu na ufasaha wa Kiswahili. Bitoka. Tumaye kwamba wewe ni Mkenya. Shida iko wapi? Hakuna
Kiswahili bana ilianza kunywa maji. Kitambo ifika kwetu ilikuwa mpata ajali za lugha.
I think next time tutaandika BBI kwa Kiswahili.
Maybe you can get better interpretations then. Let's see you president. Asante sana kwa kuja na uniform yako ya kazi. Na pia tuko na Daktari Ekuru Aukot leo amenyonga pamba kabisa. Ai, kumbe na kwangu umetufanyia hapa mambo na matisha.
Leo niko na court matters today.
Ni sisi hatukwangi mata.
Sometimes usineno timi ni.
Sisi hatukwangi mata. Ekuru hatukwangi mata.
Nawakilisha watu.
It is a pleasure to have you. So we're going to have Plo Lumumba. Unfortunately, he was not able to join us this morning, but he'll have him on phone. Tuweza kuzungumza, tupe maoni yake, alafu tutachapa kazi. Mmoja anasema tuangalie sauti ya president. Natumai kwamba sauti iko chonjo. But anyway, this is the tackle begins now. We're going to look at the BBI verdict ruling by the 5 bench judges. Also, the AG has appealed. I said the secretary has appealed, and someone was on, send me fire and thunder. But anyway, so the AG has appealed. So I don't know where the difference between the AG and the secretary. I also seen IBC have gone to court to dispute the fact that the judges say they cannot hold a referendum, but they say they are free to hold a referendum even with 3 commissioners. So you're going to have that conversation. Lakini kama kawaida, kabla tuanze kazi lazima tuende mbele za Mungu tuombe, alafu tukirudi tunakuja kuona kazi ni vipi. Mighty Father, we come before you this morning. We worship you, glorify your name. Thank you for another opportunity that we've seen this morning. We thank you for everything they've given our hands to do. We thank you for this show. Even as we go to engage the nation, we pray that you may be able to edify the fabric of this country. Even Father, the people watching us this morning, I pray that you may meet them at their individual point of needs. As we start up with us, when we finish, glory and honor shall come back to your name. It's a mighty name, I pray and believe. Amen and amen. Haya, kuna watu wengi sana wameanguka hapa tayari, so I'll be doing them a disservice if I start reading comments, because I think we have several comments, over 300, 400 comments, so I may not really be able to read all of them. So tutaingia kazi haraka upesi, na first of all we want to look back at the issues that have been happening on a small frame, and then meanwhile I'll be looking for PLO. Tukirudi, then we'll get into the topics of the day. I'll start with you, Commander.
We're talking about the BBI judgment.
Even before you get there, I mean, just an all roundup of the issues that have been happening. Tumekuwa na mambo ya kisiasa. The people saying the president has remained quiet on the judgment. Raila Odinga has spoken, but he said, let's not hit at the courts. Wetangula amesema kama uko na shida, and go to appeal. There seems to be as well the ripple effect of the judgment on the political scene. There seems that even the coalitions that we've been seeing have been forming seems to be disintegrating very quickly. What do you make of the whole thing? And do you think our politics is set on sinking sand or loose sand?
You know, if you don't prepare to succeed, you have definitely made your failure plan. These individuals embarked on an enterprise which was not based upon a sound foundation in law. And it is surprising because the office of the Attorney General is the repository of legal knowledge. Ofisi ya mwanasheria mkuu iko na mawakili wengi sana ambao wamepewa masomo ya kisheria kuhakikisha kwamba wako na uwezo wa kumpatia rais wa taifa la Kenya wasia bora. Na pia afisi ya aliyekuwa waziri mkuu Raila Amolo Odinga pia iko na mawakili. Sasa ni jambo linazohuzunisha sana kuona kwamba hawa jamaa ni kana kwamba wameshangaa kwa nini uamuzi wa mahakama ulitokea namna hii. Na wacha tuongee kwa Kiingereza kidogo pia. It cannot be understood why they seem so surprised. They brought something that was manifestly and lawfully in court. And what did they want to achieve? You see, under the 9-point agenda upon which the handshake is based, it is intended to create harmony and peace, especially during the elections. What did the Supreme Court point out as the biggest areas of concern that led to the nullification of the election of President Uhuru Kenyatta on 1st of September 2017? A poor identification of voters through the KIM system, a poor network, the non-existent server, and transmission problems. You understand?
What do you mean unexisted? It hasn't existed.
Well, it kept on oscillating from Cairo to Washington to Paris.
France.
I don't know whether it ended up in Kathmandu.
Somewhere also in Runda.
Yeah. So the problem that...
It was a moving target.
Yeah, it is a moving target. I mean, at a very supersonic speed. Yeah, lakini ukweli wa mambo ni kwamba inatakana tuwe na namna ambayo sheria
inaweza kurekebishwa.
Sheria haina dosari yoyote. Nimesema mara kwa mara, shida tulio nayo hapa Kenya ni wale wenye kiti, si kiti chenyewe. Sababu wanaokuja katika mamlaka hawazingatii maadili bora ya uongozi. Hawajali manufaa ya mwananchi. Wanakuja katika vio vile kugawana mamlaka. Uliona hapo awali Rais Ekuru alikuwa amekuja na punguza mzigo. Yeah, umuhimu wa punguza mzigo ulitumainia ya kwamba wananchi wengi watanufaika. Hawatapata shida ya ushuru kwenda juu, hawatapata shida ya ukosefu wa kazi, hawatapata shida ya wengi wa viongozi ambao wanachukua pesa. Lakini hao jamaa wametuletea mzigo mkubwa sana. Ndiposa uliona mahakama ilipochambua mambo tuliyoweka kotini ilisema kwamba huu mswada wa BBI kwanza hauna msingi kikatiba. Pili, si mswada uliotoka kwa wananchi, ni mswada uliotoka kwa serikali. Tatu, tume ya IEBC yenyewe haijaungwa namna ambayo inatakana na katiba na sheria ndogo. Na haya ni mambo ambayo hata ukiyatizama wewe mwenyewe kama raia wa kawaida utashangaa wenzetu wanasema ni nini wanachokitafuta katika mahakama ya rufaa. Naam.
Okay. So hata kabla sijaenda kwa Ekuru Aukot tuambie hapa yake. Nimeona jana ulikuwa na handshake mahali. Nasikia umehama tena.
Kuhama kutoka wapi Bito?
Sijui kutoka wapi. Nimesikia tu umehama. So utatuambia ulihama kutoka wapi ama ndio umeanza safari?
Mimi kama Havi yes. Ni bikra wa siasa za vita. Ukichunguza katika orodha ya wananchi waliosajiliwa katika vyama hutanipata katika chama chochote. So nilipoenda katika chama cha Amani, kongamano la Amani la kitaifa, Amani National Congress, nilienda kule kama bikira. Sina dosari yote. Hapo ndipo nitakaanza ndoa yangu ya kisiasa. Si kwamba ni mtalaki yoyote. Lakini
so uko NC, as we speak of NC.
Niko NC na unaona pia nimevaa magwanda ya field marshal. Mimi ndio nitakuwa mwanajeshi mkuu.
Unaweza kupata
wa rais mtarajiwa Musalia Mudavadi.
Wow. So you're in NC now.
Kabisa.
You're supporting Musalia Mudavadi for presidency?
I've always supported him.
Okay. So he's part of Oka, so you're also in Oka.
Of course I am.
Okay. Perfect.
But I'm not a Cerelac baby. I grew up drinking porridge.
Okay.
So this notion that has been coined by haters against the presidential ambition of Musalia Mudavadi must be debunked. Mudavadi is a very formidable leader and has played a fundamental role in the democratic and economic space in Kenya. Look back and see the milestones that we made when he was Minister of Transport and Communication, when he was the Minister of Finance. You see, if you are to examine the individuals who have offered themselves, of course, excluding my friend, Prof, President Ekuru Aukot, sijui kama unawania wakati huu.
Tutaangalia.
Bas.
Ya Mungu ni mengi.
So if it runs, you're going to support him or you still stick with him?
No.
That's a tackle.
Mimi si majimaji rebellion.
Okay.
Ikiwa rafiki yangu atawania basi tutatafuta namna ya kuhakikisha kwamba yeye pia ako katika hii.
Ako kwenye coalition.
Coalition ya vigugu.
Okay. That's interesting. Anyway, Ekuru. Wana umeambiwa hala president.
Wacha nimkaribishe President Havi kwa mlengo wa kisiasa. Unajua kama amesema yeye ni bikira, lakini I hope
hata ni najisi
kama amejitolea. Lakini kuna clip nilikuwa nataka tucheze kwanza kabla sija comment maana yake.
Which clip? Okay, I think he has it. You can have your headphones on. So you can run it. Come.
I want to comment.
All right. Okay, you can run the clip. if it's ready.
Yeah, go on.
Is it ready? Or
I'm a technology.
iko tayari? Oh, okay. We need to get. We cannot get the sound on the monitor.
Okay. Let me continue. So, but I think what I wanted to say, just as a comment following the BBI verdict, is that it has actually exposed the hypocrisy in our politics, the pretense. People who say that they believe in the rule of law, and believing in the rule of law, of course, also means respecting the various organs created within the Constitution and their respective independence and work. The clip I'm just going to play is of President Uhuru Kenyatta.
It's actually coming up.
Trying to mock anybody else who wanted to change the Constitution. And he was saying, why rush to change this Constitution?
Yes.
It's like you building a home. You start with the foundation, you do the walls. When you are just about to do the roofing, you start destroying that very, very foundation. Okay. So the hypocrisy and has been exposed of the political class. Number two is I've seen bashing of the judiciary by even lawyers. Okay. For me, I was so disgusted when I had people like, Paul Mwangi, who is supposed to be a lawyer, and even the guy who is now intending to go to the Court of Appeal, as a legal representative. So even professionally, in terms of professional ethics and responsibility as a lawyer, you cannot be that angry because of a judgment. There's only one other thing you can do. Either accept it or appeal a judgment that you disagree with. A judgment is a judgment, and we are not saying they are perfect judgments all over the world. Once the judges have pronounced themselves, that's their decision. So it's for you now to go and say, okay, I disagree with this element of this judgment.
For these and these results.
But to politicize it, to use it against judges, to disparage the judges, to calling them names, I think for me, that is just the underbelly of these political shenanigans. I've also noticed some of the pretense from the so-called leading proponents of constitutional change. While I will say here that I was happy with Raila's statement, but we all know that the way this political class operate, they will say one thing now, but then they send their lieutenants, because Raila read a very good statement, but you had Junet, you had Paul Mwangi, and you had all the others. So they pretend. And I think for me, it just lacks leadership. And like President Havi has said, BBI started as a lie, and we have said it many times. First of all, it wasn't even about constitutional change. It was about, handshake for purpose of building bridges. Two individuals have found what they call their shared prosperity, and that shared prosperity was anchored on the 9 points that President Havi has spoken of. But somewhere along the line, BBI started metamorphosing from either that handshake, and of course the lie at that time was that we wanted to stop people fighting, or wanted to establish what ails Kenya. I mean, some of us said this, and I said it in 2018, that what ails this country has since been established in a number of reports and commissions of inquiries. If it is matters electoral elections, like Avia said, the Kriegler report gave us a guideline. And he said, I remember Kriegler saying, if we don't fix how we manage our election, what happened in 2007, 2008 will look like a Christmas party. Yes. Wow. Those were his words. Okay. Then came Justice Waki and tried to find out, why is there violence post-election? He stated the reasons why, and then he said, let's fix this. Then there was TGRC prior to that, Truth, Justice, and Reconciliation. Again, things that really hails us. Why do communities, why do regions in this country always conflict? Then the late Ambassador Bethel Kiplagat, again documented matters to do with truth, justice. I mean, if it comes to matters land, the Ndungu Commission of Inquiry has documented those. Matters to do with the judiciary, if you remember, is it the Uko Inquiry? Yes. In our letter.
Even the Akiumi
Commission of Inquiry. Yes. All those. I mean, is it Kiluki? Anyway, there are so many reports that have really established the problems in this country. Okay. And the tendency with this so-called political class is that they just want, they normally will shelve these reports Let them gather dust, and then they'll always start with something new. And you know where the mischief started? It's in the Grand Coalition government.
Yes.
If you remember the bickering in the Grand Coalition government, the fighting, that, we need to share power. That bickering has gone on. And unfortunately, for some people who do not win an election, like now President Havi's preferred candidate in 2022, they have always found a way of wanting to come back to government. If you remember the betrayal by Kalonzo Musyoka, for example, of the coalition during 2007-2008, instead of standing ground with his fellows who they all competed with and did not win the election, he cut a deal behind curtains. Okay. So I see that in BBI. That the whole idea of BBI and the pretense that actually let's increase money to the counties at 35%. Yeah. It is a smokescreen. Yeah. It is just a sweetener. Because today, the language in the Constitution of Kenya 2010 is that at least 15% should be devolved. Okay. At least. Now, plain English means that nothing stops you if you have authority to even give 50%, even 80%. Because, we talk, if we deconstruct what we call the national, what is the national? The national is the 47 counties of Kenya. The national is the 50 million Kenyans. The national is the 1450 wards in this country. So, what sense is there in retaining, say, 85% here at an abstract reality called the national, and yet down there is where you actually need services? So the pretense in BBI report was that, we want to send more money to the county. Yet the same people admit that we are losing money every day. So I am so happy with this judgment because it addressed quite a number of issues which we may not be able to exhaust today. Yep. Okay. But it also brought to the fore the political conmanship of some leaders in this country. And by the way, what makes these people think that they can retire in politics and allow Havi and myself to take over this country? After all, I think even the advantage we have in terms of longevity, we are likely to be more careful on how we manage this country better for everybody's benefit, not for a few individuals.
Okay. All right. I think your clip is ready. Please run the clip so that you can have your thoughts.
Tuko barabarani. Katiba hakuna inchi ambayo iko na katiba ambayo tuko naye sasa. Tuko barabarani. Katiba hakuna inchi ambayo iko na katiba ambayo tuko naye sasa. Na muangalie. Najua hapa mko na mawaki.
Are we technologically challenged?
Reverend, siku moja mkimaliza kanisa, tafuta wale wakili ambao mko nao. Tuko barabarani. Katiba hakuna inchi ambayo iko na katiba ambayo tuko naye sasa. Na muangalie. Najua hapa mko na mawakili wengi. Reverend, siku moja mkimaliza kanisa, tafuta wale wakili ambao mko nao, muambie wasomee wenzao katiba ya Kenya. Na wafanye googling mpaka katiba ya hapa ambapo mnaishi. Waambie kama wataona katiba more progressive kama ile yetu ya Kenya. Anywhere. Ndipo naambia hawa wengine ambao wanazunguka hata kama na waheshimu ni haki yao. Wawachane na katiba yetu kwanza, waacha tuimplement. Sasa mnataka kubadilisha jameni, mwaka miwili tumekuwa na katiba, tunabadilisha katiba. Haiwezekani. Iwe sasa kila siku mimi kesho uamuke useme tunabadilisha katiba sio ya kubadilisha. Hatuwezi kuchoka kujaribu kwanza kuimplement ile ambayo tuko naye. Lakini tukisema imekuwa ngumu, si ni kama kwenda kuanza kujenga nyumba alafu useme umefika lintel sasa uanze kusema hapana acha nibomoe nianze tena. Hiyo nyumba utamaliza lini? Lazima ujue ni kazi msingi huko tumejenga, tumepigania hiyo katiba kutoka 1992, sasa imeingia. Sasa jameni, wacha tuijaribu, tuisukume. Hata kama iko na shida, we shall overcome those problems as we move forward. Right? Lakini kusema ati nataka pesa haiwezi kusuluhisha chochote. Haiwezi. Ni bidii yako ambayo itawezesha wewe kufanya yale unataka. Kwanza wacha tujenge uchumi bana, pesa itakuja. Kuna pesa ambayo inazaliwa kwa miti, ndio nawaambia ati. Hakuna. Hakuna pesa inazaliwa kwa miti. Ni jasho ambayo tutatoa jameni, na nafasi ambazo tutapatia wananchi wetu. Mimi nawaambia wacheni mambo ya kutafuta pesa. First put your structures.
Okay.
You see, Bitok, that's what I was saying. Ukiangalia baada ya huu uamuzi wa mahakama, sasa tumejua kweli siasa ya Kenya imejaa unafiki mwingi sana. Huyu ni Rais Uhuru Kenyatta akimkejeli Raila Odinga ambaye alikuwa anasema anataka katiba nini ibadilishwe. Na umesikia vile mfano amepeana na sitaki kurudia. Kwa hivyo it is when these individuals' interests are threatened by the other competing political opponent,
they convert.
That's when they convert and pretend, let's now amend the constitution. And as you can see, the judges were very categorical as well, that Mr. Kenyatta, as they referred to him in the judgment, can actually be sued. And you know, we asked for accountability, you know. And you remember, if you contrast, BBI and Punguza Mzigo process, first of all, it's not even clear, and maybe President Havi has an opinion on this. What of the two ways to amend the constitution of Kenya, which one did they follow? At some point, they were trying to push for a parliamentary initiative. Then it was abandoned along the way because the political class were threatening and fighting each other, not the people of Kenya. Then I think they shifted to popular initiative. We all know how popular initiative must operate. Okay. Then came the idea that, the revelation that there are about 3 BBI bills out there. So the question then emerges, of these 3 bills, 13 counties, we are told, received a different bill. Then others received a different bill. National Assembly itself came and said, we are debating a different bill as opposed to the one that is being debated in the Senate. So even as there is a lot of hullabaloo around the BBI judgment and the review, the question that still lingers on is which bill actually are we even talking about? Okay. Even as a political class or even as a legal fraternity, which bill are we discussing?
Okay. Before we go to the topics of the issue, the issues of the day, Havi, now that you've come in the political ring, we have by-elections that are happening today. We saw Moses Kuria in Juja. He was screaming in the morning that there's power blackout in the whole of Juja. Polling stations ni giza tupu. Unatafuta na mkono. In Bonchari, yesterday we saw police officers were being sent there. Understand one of the guys, Silvano Sosoro, has been taken, yes, in Tugal. So, and you know, let's paint this picture because we're having a backdrop of fixing electoral issues that we have in the country. We're having a discussion about IBC. The condition that we want to change is to have a more inclusive electoral process. What does it make you? How does it make you feel at this point? The issues, the context of the issues that are happening in these by-elections.
It is extremely frustrating. Frustrating not because we don't have an appropriate legal framework to guarantee free and fair election, but because there are individuals outside that legal framework who want to tinker with this process. Okay. Look at Bonchari, for instance. What are the lamentations we've heard? Even ODM itself, the surrogate in government through the handshake, is claiming that Matiang'i should get out of the electoral contest. Even UDA, the party of the prospective party of my good friends, you understand, it's lamenting that Matiang'i is interfering with this process. Who is Matiang'i? Matiang'i is the minister in charge of internal security and coordination of national government. What is his role in elections? He's on record as having been quoted saying that the elections in 2022 shall be conducted peacefully and he will monitor them to ensure that a desired outcome is achieved. Isn't this a precursor to what they have in mind? Are these not the issues that commissions of inquiry that had been given the mandate of examining what is the problem about elections in Kenya have said we avoid? You see, if you want to be an elected leader, then be an elected leader. You cannot use an office through which you were appointed to seek to influence political and electoral outcomes. Therein lies the problem. That's why many of similar affiliations like myself have said, let appointed leaders steer clear
from the politics of the day.
From the politics of the day. Let the police, let KRA, let ESCC steer clear of political matters. That's not their mandate, because if they don't, then that is when you see problems of this kind.
Okay.
But let me go back to the primordial problem. The shida iliyotokea iko wapi? It is because people do not want IBC to deliver.
Okay.
Yeah. That is why IBC has not had all the commissioners for the last 3 years. I mean, and you hear people like Paul Mwangi telling us, but a judge ruled that the IBC can continue doing business, notwithstanding the fact that it doesn't replace the other commissioner. Look, let me just ask you, Bitok. You see, in soy, this is the time where we're planting maize or cultivating. Tractor, unajua inaweza enda na miguu 3, kweli ya uongo? Sasa nikwambia kwamba hiyo tractor iko sawa tu na hiyo miguu 3, ili hali tractor huwa inaenda na miguu 4. I mean, it's as basic as that. So don't tell us this nonsense. The point is this. The Constitution has set the minimum number of commissioners in every commission as 3, and the maximum as 9. But the Constitution itself has said, let individual acts of parliament elaborate the quorum for these commissions. Understand?
Yes.
And the IBC Act has said the quorum for commissioners of IBC is 5. Hiyo ni gari ya migurudumu ngapi? 5. Haiwezi enda na migurudumu 3. Hata hakimu fulani akisema kwamba iko sawa, I mean, ni kama mimi kusema wewe uko na kihara. Uko na kihara na kipara. It doesn't matter. Okay. So, they shouldn't begil us was to danganye kwamba wanaenda katika mahakama ya rufaa kurekebisha. Kuna dosari katika IBC. Na hiyo dosari lazima irekebishwe ili tuwe na uchaguzi wa haki na kweli.
So the issues in Bonchari and Juja, you feel they're structured or they're engineered to ensure that IBC does not
steer clear of this election, especially in Bonchari. If he wants to vie for elective office, let him resign from his office as a minister and go and run. He has been intimidating everybody. You understand? Clandestinely or directly.
Bitok, two quick things from me about
so that we can move forward. Yes, and the question also on I also want to touch you on public servants, what's happening in politics of the day, because we have a law that actually bars them from participating in the laws of the day, in the politics of the day. At what point do we get this departure?
So to start with that point, of course it's clear that there is interference of election of the judiciary by both ministers. We've seen permanent secretaries come out there. Actually, they are not serving the people of Kenya. They are serving just the executive's interest. And that takes me back to the history of interference in the elections in this country. If you look at the fact, the history of electoral management bodies, from the Kivuit one to Ahmed Isaac, and this one, there is no single time we've had an IBC, even with a term of 6 years, that has organized 2 elections. And then you see the hypocrisy. People are okay when IBC declares, people are happy when IBC declares senators as winners, governors, MPs, MCS, but they will always come and say IBC should be disbanded because of a presidential vote and election. You know, that is the lie about IBC. So the intention has always been disrupt IBC because we do not want IBC
to
deliver. And also, you know, that interference of the IBC affects what is called electoral preparedness, which is a key component in planning for any election. But having said that, I want to slightly differ with my president and say that if you read chapter 5 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, it says that a commission must have a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 9. So strictly, for me, in terms of real interpretation, IBC for me is properly constituted with the 3 commissioners. They may lack the gender, may not have complied with the gender parity, because again, it was the politics of the day that convinced those other, is it 5 commissioners?
4.
The 4 of them, to resign, so that they, in their own wisdom or lack of it, they thought that if they resigned, that now this IBC will be rendered nugatory or unconstitutional. They did not treat the constitution. A minimum of 3 is proper within the constitution, and a maximum of 9. So they can change their rules, Prezo, and even decide, okay, with the 3 of us now, because this is a function of the constitution, you know, they can still change their rules and regulation to come with a minimum. and or what would be a what call it a majority or yeah. So I by the way, it is not these commissioners who actually conduct the election. IEBC has a well-funded, elaborate secretariat that is present in all the 290 constituencies. You know, in all the 47 counties.
Okay.
So the infrastructure and the amount of money that we are spending in this IEBC, which includes the 3 commissioners and the secretariat, which has directors, officers, presiding officers, that is all in totality what we call IEBC.
Okay.
So I think we are erroneously thinking IEBC is Chebukati and Molu and the other commissioner. It is also all these other people who are presiding over the election. As a matter of fact, Chebukati is only just a national returning officer. He doesn't preside over any election in a polling station or in a constituency or in a county. He sits here at the national, and that's why we have got all this infrastructure of Form 34A, Form 34B, and eventually Form 34C. It's being fed from out there.
Right.
So the attack on IEBC, in my view, is uncalled for. And by the way, there's one other thing that we really must point out here. We keep on complaining about IEBC, mismanagement of election. Why aren't we seeing electoral officers, election presiding officers, being charged in a court of law for criminal offenses? Because manipulating an election is a criminal offense. You know, we don't see this same government that is saying IEBC is not properly constituted now use its machinery like the DCI or NIS and find those presiding officers, returning officers who have actually manipulated an election and charge them for criminal offenses. We keep on condemning just an institution of IEBC like the way now people are condemning the judiciary because of this verdict. It's not every judge or magistrate out there who read this judgment. If you have a problem with one particular judge, or you believe they made a mistake, there are also mechanisms, by the way, within the Constitution.
But you see what, Prezo? I don't really want to differ with you because the concern here is not IBC itself. Let me go back to that example of the tractor.
Yeah.
The tractor is going down the slope with 3 wheels. It is not the problem of the tractor. It's the problem of the tractor owner. You understand? Whose responsibility is it to ensure that IBC is properly constituted? Yes, we have a minimum. We have a maximum. I mean, we must act within the optimum potential of institutions. And the responsibility rests on the shoulder of the commander-in-chief of this country, President Uhuru Kenyatta. It was incumbent upon him as soon as the 4 commissioners exited office to declare vacancies. And the fact that he has declared those vacancies 2 months ago is indicative of the fact that there was a problem. Yeah. So I don't want to blame somebody who shoulders no blameworthy. Yeah. And the reason as to why these institutions have to be constituted with the maximum of the number of commissioners is to prepare for all eventualities. We're all infallible. We are human beings.
But you are aware also that what this executive does or the political class does, and this is the risk we run, we get into their trap. Because remember, there is also a proposal that political parties participate in the election of the next IEBC. These are players. If you're going to start choosing who the referee is and you are showing actually clear interest on that referee, you know, and don't forget the way commissions today in Kenya are being picked.
Yes,
the intention is actually to defeat the intent of the Constitution because they had earned. If you remember, for example, your own battles at the LSK, you clearly nominated a person who you believed was actually going to represent the society, but the state machinery had somebody else.
Yes,
and that is the fight that we fight because the interest is not really to strengthen this institution, the constitutional institution. It's like to undermine it or to find the baraka wale ambao watatuambia fanya hivi fanya hivi. If I take you back memory kidogo tu, the Kivuitu led commission of 27 commissioners, if I recall, 27 of them. Each one of them was coming out to read a different result, and that's what plunged the country into a degree of chaos. So I think we have still not been able to actually pick commissioners based on merit and competence and skill. There's still a lot of interference.
Yeah, let me just weigh in and then we progress.
Please.
Look at what happened on the 13th of May 2021. 5 judges, human beings who are able to see what is wrong in an exercise that the entire National Assembly, a majority of more than 70%, the entire Senate, a majority of more than 70%, the entire County Assembly in the Republic of Kenya, more than 33 county assemblies, do not see wrong in it. What does it speak of, Dr. Aukot? It speaks of this, that you don't need a multitude to do right.
That's true.
And it's for that reason, therefore, that the individuals who are to be appointed commissioners of IBC must realize their role is almost quasi-judicial.
That's true.
They're making a very important decision. And for that reason also, let me weigh in on an issue that appears to have been left unattended. The political parties expressed their reservations in the manner in which the Public Service Commission had forwarded the names of individuals to President Uhuru Kenyatta for appointment to the selection panel. I voiced mine. Spirited members of my organization went to court and challenged the attempt by the executive to install a nominee for the Law Society. And as day succeeds night, justice prevailed, and the court said the nominee that was validly appointed by the Law Society, being Maurice Kimule, should represent the society, thereby putting at bay the attempts of the state to interfere with this. What has ODM done? You understand? What has Thirdway Alliance done? What has UDA done? Because I can tell you without any fear of contradiction, those nominees, those representatives to the selection panels are appointees of ODM and Jubilee Kieleweke. What do you expect of the outcome that will result from their selection? And these are things that we need to interrogate very deeply.
And if you recall,
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we need to call the
proceed,
it's already
but quickly.
it's already
When you recall
8:30.
when, for example, President Kenyatta, Kibaki then, and Prime Minister Raila Odinga asked me to chair the first IBC selection panel in 2011. We introduced strict rules, and the whole thing was very transparent. So I don't want to fault these people yet. I'm really hoping that they will do a proper job, a transparent job like the way we did, and pick people on merit, and let them also publish their report like the way I published the report of the selection panel then. And I wanted Kenyans to know this is the formula we applied in picking then 13 people to put the list forward for President Uhuru to pick the 9. I think that for me is where the problem is. Yes, and I do understand there is a lot of behind the scenes. Because I remember I was also being lobbied. Unfortunately for them, I didn't even need to be a chairman because I had a very good, lucrative job in South Sudan. I just came to serve my country for only 3 months and I took off. But I think that's part of the problem. Yes.
All right, so let's look at the judgment. First of all, AG has appealed the judgment made by the 5 bench judges on 13th May. Also, IBC has also appealed the decision that they are not properly constituted to conduct the referendum. So they have said, we are able to conduct the referendum. So even as we stand in for them, as you argue on their behalf, they have said, no, guys, you should not be telling us we cannot do it. We can do this. Chebukati said that yesterday on Juja, and they said they're planning an appeal this week. So the AG has appealed the decision, and also IBC has appealed. So we have 2 cases that are now going to be in court of appeal on the judgment made. Now, let's try and break down the judgment that were made by the 5 bench judges. We'll start with the procedure itself. And it talks about the president and who initiates a popular initiative. We're talking about 2 initiatives, parliamentary initiative and popular initiative, according to the articles that have been stipulated. And the court actually said the president can be sued at a personal level for undertaking responsibilities that are not due on him. Now, the question is the president justified? First of all, you've talked about the BBI. Both of you agree that the BBI origin started from 2 people, the president and Raila Odinga. They have said, no, it did not start with that. It started with the people. Does the president, as the president, also as the crown of an ordinary Kenyan to start an initiative?
Let me take maybe a maximum of 3 minutes just to summarize what the court said. Okay. This is what the court said. That the Constitution of Kenya is a product of many years of constitutional reform process. I could trace this to, let's say, 1997, when a proper legislative framework was put in place to ensure that we have a constitutional change. Now, when we promulgated the Constitution on the 27th of August 2010, the preamble said, "We, the people of Kenya, give unto ourselves this Constitution, unto the future generation." You understand?
Yes.
It means it is a document that was intended to govern the relationship between the people and their rulers. You follow? And within this document, there are certain aspects that are fundamental. They are key. They identify the Kenyan constitution. What are these? One, we have a presidential system, which can be contradistincted from a parliamentary system, for instance, the one we have in the United Kingdom. Here in Kenya, the president, unlike it was before 27th August, is not a member of parliament. You understand? Yes. Cabinet secretaries are not members of the National Assembly. We have an independent judiciary. We have an IBC that has been given the power to set boundaries upon certain considerations. Then, when it comes to the Constitution itself, there are certain aspects of it that in law we say they're in here, they're implicit, as in they don't need to be written into it. Just like we have fundamental human rights. You have the right to life because you are a human being, not because you are Bitok. You understand?
Yes.
So that there is an implicit aspect in the Constitution that you will not change the form of government. It's a presidential system. You understand? You will not change the form of National Assembly. It has checks and balances where the cabinet does not sit, so that they are not compromisable, as were the ministers appointed in the previous dispensation. You have a judiciary that is independent, so that Raphael Tuju, in his buffoonery, does not come on national TV and tell us judges should know when they leave court, they'll be escorted home by the police. And it's this buffoonery that permeated and punctuated the leadership of the other buffoon, Idi Amin, in Uganda in the 70s. We don't want this nonsense. You understand? And then you have the manner in which the Constitution itself can be altered. If you want to replace the form of government, then you must repeal the Constitution and replace it with another one. On the 27th of August 2010, we made a new republic. So to speak, it was the second republic.
A rebirth of a nation.
Yes.
Okay.
So that for you to create a third republic where we'll have a prime minister, two deputy prime ministers, cabinet ministers who are appointed from the National Assembly, you must of necessity create a third republic. And for you to create a third republic, you must go back to the people.
Okay.
The people must point out what is the problem with this system of government. They must be consulted. You must get expert opinions. You must have an act of parliament to determine the manner in which you will change the constitution. And then at the tail end of it, the constitution has said, you can have a popular initiative and a parliamentary initiative.
Okay.
And in a presidential system like Kenya, the president has control of the National Assembly through the leader of the majority, through the Attorney General. He can amend the constitution if he wants.
Oh, okay.
A bill made by the Attorney General or a member of the party through which he is elected. Okay. You see, the president cannot have this King David mentality of going to the balcony, okay, looking at Uriah's wife and saying that I must have her. The popular initiative belongs to the people. It is the Uriah. The king.
So you're saying it's only preserved through parliament?
Yes.
Not through popular initiative?
He has the Attorney General.
Okay.
And he has the leader of the majority.
In both houses. In both houses.
You understand? These Uriah tendencies, okay, will spell doom to the king. Yeah. Now, those are the issues that the court upheld. You understand? I argued this case in court. Yeah. Now, later day adherents of good law and governance like Paul Mwangi and Sianya are yapping all over. Where were they? I didn't see their arguments in court. And Bitok, let me tell you, I'm not blowing my trumpet. I don't take cases that are doomed to fail.
Okay.
And Kenyans know that. So that when history of this country is written, let them know there are a few lawyers in this country, including my very good friend Ekuru and myself, who, though appearing isolated, we stand for certain things. And they must join us in calling out this nonsense. You understand? Yeah. Like yesterday, I was extremely disappointed with Raphael Tuju. And I want members of the Law Society to voice their disappointment. There will come a time, and I think that time ought to be as soon as tomorrow, when we need to protest and demand that Uhuru Kenyatta must fire this lunatic, this buffoon, in the name of Raphael Tuju. He cannot come on national television and threaten judges. We saw what happened in Uganda in the 70s. We will not permit it. For me, even if it means discarding my suit, you understand, and straddling a Kalashnikov to go and deal with nonsenses of this kind, we will prepare to.
You want to go to the bush?
Yes. But we cannot have somebody threaten the lives of judges. It's as simple as that.
All right. But now, President Havi.
What shocks me is why he isn't recording statements now before DCI.
Yeah.
Because he issued threats.
Okay. So even before you go to Ekuru, to where he was now, you told the president cannot in any way, because the argument that has come out since yesterday is that the president, in his own personal capacity as a Kenyan, can initiate the process. Where is the lawlessness in that?
You see,
where's the legality?
Perhaps let me give credit where it deserves.
Okay.
President Uhuru Kenyatta is a very intelligent person.
Okay.
I think between him and Raila, Uhuru Kenyatta is the most intelligent. We played the clip here, and you saw what he said. He said, we have a transformative constitution. You understand? If you have lost the election, wait for your turn. Don't bicker and demand to alter the rules of the game. And I believe Kenyatta is a very honest man. And in his heart of hearts, his initial statement that we have a good constitution must stand. I want to be dissuaded of the notion that this initiative was a perilous thought in the minds of Raila Amolo Odinga. I don't want to blame President Uhuru Kenyatta. He is leaving office. What benefit?
Is he?
No, Ekuru, wacha kupigana na rais. Mimi ni rais, nijua mamlaka ya rais. Uelewa? Rais Uhuru Kenyatta.
But I became rais kabla wewe.
Niruhusu nibutetee mwenzangu. Rais Uhuru Kenyatta ni rais mwema sana. Yeah. Sisi tuliposhindwa kura kama NASA, tulikubali. Na mimi nilikuwa mtu wa kwanza kumpatia pongezi, kwa sababu nilijua dosari ilikuwa wapi. Dosari ilikuwa hapa. Wenzetu wana ODM na NASA walikuwa wanasema kwamba tuko na hizi numbers. Na huko wameweka mpangilio wote kuhakikisha kwamba wanalinda kura. Wewe umechunga ng'ombe mara nyingi kule Turkana na West Pokot. Ukienda kuchunga ng'ombe, so wewe unatembea na AK47 na rungu kuhakikisha kwamba ng'ombe yako haibiwi. Hawa jamaa wanachunga ng'ombe, wanaacha ng'ombe inaibiwa. Uhuru Kenyatta amechunga ng'ombe zake. Sawa sawa. Mula wake karibu unafika tamati. No, ni ruhusu nimalize.
Uliza Junet.
Junet ni ng'ombe aliye na pembe. Mjinga sana. Huyu jamaa ndio amezoea kumdanganya baba.
Rais. Nataka afunge kioski yangu bwana. Watu wajinga. Okay.
The commander in chief of all legal forces is here. I've heard that certain
they're actually sending us
certain individuals of lesser legal learning are telling you they will send you a court order.
They're sending me a court order to stop discussing BBI.
No judge will issue such an order. Okay. So stay calm, be comfortable. This is national debate.
And representative of free.
Yeah. So I believe I've exhausted that point. Okay. My view, as I conclude on this particular thematic area, is this: BBI was an illegal enterprise conceived in the mind of Raila Odinga. It's quite unfortunate that he beguiled his brother, President Uhuru Kenyatta, to endorse it, thereby bringing embarrassment. But President Uhuru Kenyatta can still salvage himself. Let him dissociate himself from this nonsense of BBI. You understand? Let him do the right thing. We are prepared to ensure that he leaves a good legacy. let him dissolve the damn parliament that has failed him. Let these individuals go and seek a fresh mandate. So that you are elected to parliament, he is elected to parliament, I'm elected to parliament. We help him complete his remainder of the term.
You had to be an MP for 7 months.
What is the
Ama mnataka ku extend.
Ikiwa atavunjilia bunge bali,
You want to put in us.
uchaguzi utafanyika Agosti. Na ikiwa uchaguzi utafanyika Agosti basi tutakuwa bado tuko na mwaka mmoja mzima.
Okay, Ekuru. Now you are among the people. You are you are the midwives of the Constitution, and the question is, when we talk about the ways to amend a constitution, who did you have in mind when you talk about a popular initiative? You talk about a parliamentary initiative, and you actually say that it belongs. Maybe this initiative belongs to these people, initiation and all that. So when you talk about a popular initiative, because the argument that has come out is even the president is a Kenyan, Raila Odinga is a Kenyan. We also talked about Waweru, Dennis Waweru is on driving the conversation, and also the BBI secretariat is a congregation of Kenyans who have the authority as well and the constitutional right to initiate that constitutional change. Who did you have in mind when you're talking about?
So we had everybody in mind.
Okay.
We had everybody in mind. And that's why, if you look at the basic definition of our constitution, that is a set of rules and laws that create institutions and apportions powers and responsibility between those two institutions. And President Havi has explained this, the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive. Everybody has got their role. And that special role then requires of you to behave yourself in a certain way. Okay. Now, let me take you back to Article 1. Article 1 of the Kenya Constitution says that all sovereign authority and power vests in the people of Kenya. They can exercise it directly or indirectly through their elected representatives. Let's go to the Constitution amendment processes in the Constitution. It starts from Article 255 of the Constitution, and that says, for you to change the Constitution of Kenya, there are only 2 ways, and then give certain conditions. Like Havi has said, if you want to change the structure or form of government, that cannot be a preserve or people with an interest. You know? And the president in this particular case has come out as a person with interest in the form and structure of government he wants, or the political class. The political class, then we said, okay, if you want to change aspects of this constitution, you have got an avenue called parliamentary initiative, because you are parliamentarians. Sponsor a bill, take it to parliament, or even general proposition, for example, as a motion, take it to parliament, let it be debated. Now, if the outcome of the debate is such that it might want to change the structure of parliament, it might change the sovereignty of the people, the boundary of Kenya, or whatever the case may be, then that cannot be a preserve of you political class only. You must now go where? To the people.
The owner.
The owners of this constitution. Because remember, it is a social contract. Yeah? It's a social contract. And who are the owners? The owners of the constitution are defined in Article 257. And that's why the threshold under popular initiative is not 416 elected officials. Because those 416 elected officials can actually pursue their interest in amending the constitution through 256. The threshold in 257 is 1 million. At least 1 million registered voters. Okay? And that's why you go to the people. And the process of going to the people is the one that Punguza Mizigo Kenya followed. I've kept on saying in this show, Bitok and others, you see, BBI from the onset was amorphous, directionless,
nebulous,
repetitive, nebulous. You know, it was completely... Yeah. Shocking. Ni ukweli wa mambo. So, they have not even come out clear to say, okay, which aspect are we following? But, katiba ya Kenya iko na wenyewe. Katiba ya Kenya sio ya Raila Odinga peke yake na Uhuru Kenyatta. People are making this argument very simplistically. You know, today, the President of the Republic of Kenya under this constitution is also checked. You cannot just wake up willy-nilly and decide, you know, today I'm going to kuhamisha Bitoko wende kwe Ugandan, or Havi akwe suji Nigerian.
Mimi naweza kuwa South Sudanese. Unaona rangi yangu hii.
You're already choosing countries.
So, I think even for the president, what people are missing, even the president must be checked. That's why we brought in checks and balances under this constitution, so that the president cannot just wake up one morning and decide, I want to do ABCD. And you know, the reason I love this judgment is because President Uhuru, who I know Havi anatetea, has blundered a lot of times.
Now these are advocates, the Attorney General, Solicitor General wamedanganya rais. Na hii ni makosa sana.
Rais pia anakubali kudanganya. Unajua ukiambiwa hapa kuna shimo, ama ukiambiwa hapa hakuna shimo na wewe mwenyewe unaona shimo na unaingia, hata wewe pia una makosa.
Okay.
You know the reason why this judgment is very important, Bitok. Let me just 1 minute. President Uhuru Kenyatta and this Jubilee government have disrespected this constitution many times. For example, even the court order, and my president Havi here has been on the forefront fighting for the swearing in of the 40 judges.
Okay.
Unaona? In fact walikuwa 41 wakastress mmoja mpaka akafariki. Yeah? kuna 40 saizi. Uhuru Kenyatta ignore those orders. Uhuru Kenyatta has ignored these orders through his ministers akina Matiang'i and the rest. Unaona? Okay. Uhuru Kenyatta created a public office called Chief Administrative Secretary against the Constitution. Article 132 sub-article 4, I think B, gives him the power that he may create an office in the public service, but following recommendations from the Public Service Commission itself. And the Public Service Commission, again, by dint of Article 10, could invoke public participation where now the people of Kenya, and this is one of the things that was argued by Havi and others successfully in this judgment.
Okay.
You cannot ignore the people. Public participation is a tenet, is a principle of governance in our constitution. This president and his government ignored all that. They constituted this BBI task force. They went to our public coffers without any approval, without any appropriation. You know, they took our money. They spent about 20 billion. There was 14 billion. So I'm so happy with the judges, with the judgment. And by the way, me, I'm not surprised. In fact, I'm even surprised. I'm surprised with
you're surprised that you're surprised
that this president is a good president. In fact, there is no successful project that Jubilee has started that has succeeded.
You know, Ekuru.
At the risk of sounding political,
you know why I'll be president of the Republic and you'll never be? Because you like fighting the president. The person to fight is the Attorney General and the Solicitor General.
But you've not answered my question.
I cannot
Daktari Ekuru, you've not answered my question.
I cannot fight the Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya or my good friend Ken Ogeto because they are not the commanders-in-chief of this country.
Okay.
The person who enjoys powers, constitutional powers, legal powers,
president.
even policy, whatever, administrative, is the president of the Republic of Kenya. If something goes wrong in this country today, I'm not going to go after Attorney General. After all, we are not even sure whether actually he's been advised properly and ignored them. Okay. Like I said, I'm not surprised this BBI project of Jubilee and Raila Amolo Odinga has failed because after all, it is their this is who they are.
Okay.
Walidanganya watoto wetu watawapatia laptop, hakuna. Wakadanganya vijana wetu ati kwamba watapatia 1.2 million jobs, hakuna. Wakatuambia SGR ni successful, ikafika na Ivasha ikakwama.
Lakini daktari, unajibu swali yangu.
Wakaanzisha BBI ndio hiyo imekwama.
But the question is, daktari, I need you to answer my question.
Yeah, what is your question?
My question is, now, you've said that the people can exercise their authority through the people. They have looked at the president. Right and square. Why then do you feel that it's illegal for the president to act on behalf of the people and start an initiative that they've gotten signatures for? You formulated the Constitution. You gave us those two options.
Yes.
Where is the illegality?
Because, the president, yes, is a representative, but he must also be guided by the Constitution. If you want, for example, to change the kind of, President Havi explained clearly. Okay. The president was trying to expand the government by bringing in this new structure called the prime ministers, deputies, they now trying to get members of parliament to be cabinet secretaries. Then he cannot on his own make that decision the way he did in establishing BBI. He must go to the people through what's called popular initiative. They never did that. These people have been perambulating and
so the signatures is not going to the people.
Yeah.
The signatures is not going to the people.
You honestly believe those signatures are from the people?
I don't know.
But talk, unajua we ni professor wa sheria sasa. We need to break it down to the common mwananchi.
Please, that's what I want us to do.
The popular initiative is this.
Okay.
Nilimpatia ule mfano wa mfalme
Uria. Mfalme Daudi.
Rafiki yangu sana, nimeenda nyumbani kwake kule
Yerusalemu.
Yeah, nimeenda kaburini mwake. Na mheshimu sana.
Umeenda Yerusalemu?
Nimeenda Yerusalemu.
Ndio mheshimu sana.
Daudi,
okay, yes,
aliitwa rafiki ya Yehova
wa Mungu,
kwa sababu hakuwa kiumbe cha kawaida.
Okay.
Alipoteuliwa awe mfalme, hangeweza kuwa raia wa kawaida wa Wayahudi. Na alipomtamani mke wa uraia alifanya makosa. Sawa. Sababu Mungu mwenyewe alikuwa amempatia sehemu yake. Sehemu aliyopewa rais wa taifa la Kenya ni sehemu ya bunge la kitaifa. Na mwanasheria mkuu akitaka kubadilisha katiba anaweza. Na hata kabla BBI haijakuja tulikuwa na miswada 23 ambayo ilikuwa imeletwa bungeni. Mingi ambayo ilikuwa imeletwa na mwakilishi mkuu kinara wa chama cha Jubilee na nyingine pia wajumbe wa Jubilee. Elewa. Lakini ikiwa kuna umuhimu wa kubadilisha namna ambayo serikali ya Kenya imetungwa katika katiba, ni lazima tuwe na msingi ambao unaambatana na mambo haya. Sawa. Kwanza kuwe na uchunguzi inaitwa constitutional review process. Pili, tuwe na sheria, a constitutional review legislation. Tatu, wananchi wa taifa wote waelimishwe kuhusu umuhimu wa kubadilisha katiba. Public participation and consultation. 4, maoni ya wale ambao wako na uelewevu wa katiba yachukuliwe. Sawa. Na ikiwa hayo yote yametimizika, basi huo msisimko wa kubadilisha katiba wenyewe utoke kwa wananchi. Rais hawezi kuwa mwananchi, tafadhali. Kubaliane
hata kidogo.
Rais ni mfalme.
Na Raila Odinga.
Hata Raila saizi ni kiongozi ambaye anahudumu katika serikali ya Rais Uhuru Kenyatta. Si raia wa kawaida. Tafadhali tuheshimiane. Ukienda kwa supermarket, ukienda kwa barabara, hauna haki sawa na wale jamaa. Sawa. Wanaambatana na askari. Let's not begil yourself. All human beings are equal, but certain human beings are more equal than animal farm. This one will tell you there is what we call King Rex. You understand? Those who have studied law and political science. There is a difference between the king and the people. The king cannot assume the role of the people. And for that reason, the decision by the 5 judges cannot be assailed. It cannot be successfully challenged. Because there is no way you will convince me that we the people, mwananchi, Wanjiku, is constitutive of Raila Amolo Odinga and President Uhuru Kenyatta.
No way.
And by the way, that's why Constitution creates these institutions. The presidency is an institution on its own. The people are an institution on their own. And that's why they are pushing responsibility. So it's true. You cannot say President of Kenya is an ordinary guy.
All right. I'm trying to get PLO. I'm trying to find PLO. I want to see if we can have a conversation with him. Hello? I think I lost him midway. Okay.
Gambia wafuasi wako waache kunipigia simu, niko kwa studio. Wasikize tu radio.
Wafuasi tafadhali, kama mnaona president mwache kusumbua president na simu. President yuko kwenye television. Unajua the other day pia Daktari Ekuru alikuwa na malalamishi pia ya kwamba Wakenya wakikuona kwa TV, that is when they remember they were supposed to call you.
Which is true, by the way.
Yes, watu wanaanza kupigia simu. I don't know why I cannot find Professor. What's going on? Anyway, I think Ekuru, you are speaking. So meanwhile, proceed your thoughts as I try to nail.
No, I was just emphasizing the point made by President Havi that it is a bit cheap and simplistic argument to say that President Kenyatta and some of those people who wield some political authority in this country should be described as ordinary people. After all, they are not treated as ordinary in the balance of power and the way they carry themselves around. So I think
Prof.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So how are you?
Yeah, I'm very fine, sir.
We really miss you here.
Yeah, well, you have more than able individuals there with whom I share views. Yes.
Okay. How is your morning?
We are fine. We are just working away.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, we'd like to pick your thoughts on the same issue that we had shared earlier. What are your thoughts on what is happening at the moment? The issues of whatever is in the place of court now about BBI. We're also seeing the appeals that are coming in from the AG. There has been a conversation on the judgment that were made by the 5 bench. I'm not a lawyer myself, but I'll just try to point out the way it is. The judgment that were made, the issues that were raised by the 5 bench judges are being contested by the AG and by a large extent the BBI Secretariat. So from a point of a legal perspective, I would like you to help Wanjiku understand what the whole judgment is all about, whether you agree with the judges or do you disagree? Do you agree with the appeal that is being filed? Where do you think this will end up in?
First, let us point out that there was a dispute which was conversed on merits by different sides. There were 24 substantive issues which were isolated by the 5-judge bench.
Okay.
And they found in favor of the petitioners in almost all of them. And I agree with them fundamentally, because let us ask ourselves, what is BBI? BBI must be seen in the historical context of the rapprochement between Mr. Odinga and President Kenyatta. And it was populated, in my view, as an afterthought. And its fundamental promise was that it would ensure that there is no post-electoral violence in Kenya. And what it does in that regard is to propose several offices. Completely nonsensical. There is nothing that tells us that when you create offices for ethnic kingpins, then you immunize the country from political violence. What we have in Kenya amongst this crop of politicians is political bad manners, as Moisu Kitui has said. And you don't deal with political bad manners by proposing self-serving constitutional amendments, be that as it may. In my view, the judges applied themselves in critical areas. They talked about the basic structure. I may have my own arguments about it, but I've had the advantage of reading the judgment, and I think they make a case that there is something that can be described as basic structure. I don't agree with the judges that they are eternal clauses. I believe that subject to the Constitution, even those things that are deemed to be eternal, if you look at Article 255, can be amended through a proper process. I agree with the judges that when the president is acting as a president qua president, he cannot claim to be initiating what is known as a popular initiative. He cannot, and he knows that. And what they are trying to do by stealth is that they start a process which is animated by President Kenyatta and Mr. Raila Odinga. Then surreptitiously, they introduce a few individuals who they now claim are the promoters. They have been found out. And it is proper that when they are found out, they are exposed. And in my view, if you look at the judgment in its entirety, it looks at the composition of the IBC, what it ought to do. It looks at the entire process of initiating this. And I served in the CKRC, and my friend Dr. Ekuru Aukot knows that. When we served in those bodies, the bodies were created by an act of parliament. The BBI group was created by dint of a presidential fiat, accompanied by an endorsement from Mr. Raila Odinga. And then they proceed to use public funds. It is completely illegal, and they know it. And the beauty of the judgment is that it discusses all these things in great detail. I know when the matter goes on appeal, and they are entitled to go on appeal, what is annoying is lawyers who are in that process insulting judges. Yet they know they have an avenue for appeal. In a nutshell, I'm saying that the 5-judge bench have done a great thing. The men and women who had the courage to go to court to petition did a great thing. And the rule of law demands that we obey the judgments even if we disagree with them. What I have never understood, my dear, is why is BBI a life and death issue for some individuals? Don't they remember that between 1964 and 1969, we had 26 constitutional amendments which distorted the Constitution? Don't they remember that this Constitution 2010 has not been implemented as it ought to have been? Why is it that we want to use constitutional amendment to address the ambitions of individuals? It must not happen, and I hope that the Court of Appeal will direct itself properly, as I believe it will, and strike down the grounds which I've seen, which in my view are very wishy-washy.
Okay.
Well said, Prof.
Professor.
Maybe it's gone off.
Have we lost him? Prof? Prof, Ampotela. Prof, Jambo.
Are we still together?
Yes. We had lost you. We lost you briefly. All right, so let me ask you, Prof. You're saying that the IBC, as you've said, the way the judges have ruled is that the IBC is not properly constituted. IBC has appealed that judgment. What do you make of that? Do you think IBC, who is being journeyed between IBC and the 5-bench judge?
Can't hear you.
It's either we can't hear him or he can't hear us. I don't know. Anyway, okay.
Yeah, he has spoken.
I think we've had him. So I don't know if you have any thoughts so that we fungua bunge la mwenyenchi kidogo. Alafu
Bunge. I think after Prof has spoken.
that fungua bunge.
This is the last one.
Okay. All right, bunge la mwenyenchi iko wazi 0779 800 010 bunge la mwenyenchi iko wazi, piga simu nambari ni 0779 800 bunge la mwenyenchi iko wazi 0779 800 piga simu tuambie fikra yako ni gani kama sijui kama unakubaliana na maoni ya mawakili. Okay, wacha tusikize. Jambo, good morning.
Good morning, Gerard.
Jambo.
This is Martin Warui from Kasarani.
Yes, Martin Warui.
Yeah, now, today I don't have a lot of things to say. I think everything has been said by the two presidents there. And of course, Professor has, captured it very well. I think, for me, I am just very energized as a citizen. I'm very much optimistic now and enthusiastic that despite the evil schemes by the elite, particularly those that are in the executive and those that are affiliated to them, I think Kenyans should be vigilant. What we need moving forward is to be vigilant, and vigilance in terms of protecting and supporting the judiciary, its independence, and protecting the judges and the people who are, litigating in public interest.
Okay.
I told you, Gerard, on Thursday last week, I think it was on Wednesday, and I told you that I had faith that the High Court was going to do the right thing. And that is what I have. That is the hope that I was having throughout this process. For me, I always felt that the High Court was going to do the right thing. And I'm very happy, like so many Kenyans. So we are going to wait for the Court of Appeal to rule. And if it goes to the Supreme Court, we are going to wait for that. But I think the people who are pushing the BBI, I think for them time is up. The timelines are not going to allow them to have a referendum before 2022.
Okay.
And I think
Jambo, good morning.
Good morning, Gerald. How are you?
Salama sana, haraka upesi juu ya masaa.
This is Farid Faraj.
Yeah, Farid Faraj, Jambo.
Jambo, son. I have a question for my good friend Havi.
Okay.
Havi Mrembe.
Mrembe baba buche.
Buche sa.
Kangubora beho bandu babora ati Havi ni murogori dave, ati Havi ni musaboti. Bamenyinzi ni mwimiri wabarogori dave. Jeje ka babore bandu abo ni bayingu sana. Hula Faraj. Ni bayingu.
Havi ni murogori witu.
Yes.
Na Kenya kana kukwekura akangemia uze ukabe batakuru.
Bas, mambene mwenye.
Sande
baba.
Sawa.
Okay,
aya, so memaliza maneno umeulizana ama bado uko na maneno?
Bitok.
Sema haraka. Tukienda.
Tiskoro na mwajuri ngale. Tiskoro mwajuri ngale.
Sema.
So, Havi.
Koroza jemige?
Achame mandengan.
Good.
Aya, ambia maneno Havi.
So Havi.
Koros.
you should come and visit us huku chini. We know whatever really happens on this other end. We need improvement on our infrastructure. We have poor roads.
Okay.
Kangemi is impassable. Everything is bad on this other end. However much you are struggling to defend our constitution,
Yes.
we as the common citizens from this other end in Westlands,
Yes.
we have nothing to smile about. Things are from bad to worse.
Where is your village in
need
Kangemi? I want to come and
yesterday.
visit you. Where is it?
Bottom line, you know bottom line?
Yes, bottom line.
Yes, bottom line.
Nitafollow huko kama virus haraka sana.
Okay. Asante Faraji. Jambo, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you?
I'm good.
Okay, niambie. I think there's someone. Okay. Nakusikia. Please, tafadhali zima sauti ya nini pale nyuma yako. You have something that you're playing on the background. Please switch it off.
Okay, I want to ask a question on Trio. Are you on Trio?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is Bitok, niambie.
Oh, this is the talk.
Yes.
Okay, how I'm saying is, as much as the judges are being threatened,
Yes.
there are also sorts of threats because today they are used, the next day they are used by the government. They don't have a stand even then.
Okay.
Like now, when you look at the case of Nairobi,
Yes.
someone is working without an appointment letter.
Uh-huh.
You look at it. You look at the case of an NMS.
Yes.
That is the office created by someone. So they are used to today, tomorrow they are.
Okay. So unaona kwamba koti haina msimamo.
Hello?
Jambo, good morning. Yeah.
Hello.
Jambo, habari asubuhi.
Mzuri, nileditosha Rozi wa Tarbo.
Jambo litosha Rozi wa Tarbo. Mambo?
Poa kabisa, niko poa kabisa Tarbo, tuko salama.
Leta habari tusikie.
Mimi nataka tu huyu Havi. Nilisikia akisema kwamba ule ana support ni Mudavadi.
Nilikuwa nataka kusema unataka kuja Tarbo.
Acha tosha ongea.
Okay, zungumza.
Ndio namwambia. Azunguke Kenya mzima, sio anaongelea tu Western peke yake. Kama anataka kuwa president, atembee Kenya mzima, tumusikie yuko Central, tumusikie yuko Rift Valley. Hivyo ndio hapa at least tutasema anatosha. Kwa saa hizi hajatosha kabisa. Alafu kitu kingine,
Yes.
Bonjari, nini inafanyika huko? Ni police recruitment ama ni election kweli? Kwa nini hao polisi wote huko? What is happening?
Leo ndio kuna maneno.
Tosha upewe moja. Upewe moja on my account.
Asante.
Okay.
What a way to put it.
What a tackle. Anyway, the election inafanyika kama recruitment. Jambo, habari asubuhi. Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, Gerard.
Yes, how are you?
Good morning to you.
All right, who am I speaking to?
You're speaking to Stephen.
Yes, Stephen, tuambie.
Yeah, Gerard, number one, we must agree that from the beginning, from the word go, BBI was never a popular initiative.
Okay.
This was a president's initiative, and he pronounced himself so well that he wants to do this to bring Kenya together, but I don't think they really had any plan to bring Kenya together, because if at all they were divided as a political class, yet it is the political class that brings instability in this country. Those are the people that wanakuja, they fuel wananchi begin, they start fighting. If they could not agree at their level, then how comes they were telling us that BBI is bringing peace? You can see, in fact, there is no one who has challenged how it happened that the county assemblies received two different documents.
Okay.
You can see the parliament and the Senate, they received two different documents, and they still passed them.
Okay, sir.
Without considering Mwananchi.
All right.
All they care about is all about themselves, nobody else. We have very selfish leaders who don't care about Kenyans. They only care about themselves.
Okay. Asante sana, Steve.
Is the problem.
All right. Thank you. Good morning.
Hello, Gerard, how are you?
Jambo, haraka upesi, masamba.
Haraka sana. Mimi naitwa Kevin, eh?
Yes, Kevin, songesha rada.
Yes. My point is for this, the IEBC is the problem here. I think we should concentrate on ensuring the security with the IEBC during and post-election. That is what will help us to stop cases of violence. It's not about anything to do with politics, as they are saying.
Okay.
Another thing, let us see court processes against Uhuru, the president, right now.
Ala?
Yes.
Nataka kustaki rais?
Yes. Yes, kwa sababu sasa ameanzia hii mambo. He should be hizi vitu ndio itasaidia hata tupunguze hii
mzigo.
Itasaidia sana.
Asante. Habari ya asubuhi. Good morning. Good morning, sir.
Hey,
yes, sir. Who am I speaking to?
Very well, you're speaking to Dennis Ndumbe.
Dennis, jambo.
Dennis. Deno vipi?
Salama sana. Salimia President Aukot.
Na network yako ni mbaya, bro.
Umepotea bana.
Hello? Network chafu. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Jambo, nani? Unatoka wapi? Haraka upesi.
Mimi naitwa Bet kutoka Kapenguria.
Haya, sema haraka mtu wa Kapenguria.
Mimi nafurahi sana at least Havi yako area. Mwambie aendelee hivyo hivyo. Alafu nataka kuuliza kitu kwa mawakili. There is this declaration when the court make declarations. Maybe I came late to the conversation, but what does it mean? Is it the same as when they make an order?
Okay, hebu rudia tena hiyo swali, umeelewa?
Nasema when the court make the declarations, is it the same as when they make orders? Are they the same when you appeal them?
Okay.
Thank you, bro.
Asante sana. Jambo, good morning.
Yes, sir.
Naongea nani kutoka wapi?
I'm Mr. Tang.
This Bitok, Jambo.
Okay, Bitok, what
yes.
I'm asking is...
naongea nani kutoka wapi? Haraka.
I'm Tang from Kericho.
Okay, niulize.
Okay, what I'm asking is, what has stopped IEBC from being constituted since 2017? These people are taking Kenyans for a line.
Okay.
Why have they been greased? Why have they been greased since 2017?
Okay.
And why is it that this ODM people, when the judges rule on their behalf, for them, they are happy. When the judges rule against them, judges are bad.
They cry.
How long are we going to sustain this nonsense?
Okay. Jambo, habari asubuhi. Haraka. Bunge karibu nafunga bunge.
Yes. Morning, Mr. Bitok.
Good morning to you, sir. Who am I speaking to? From where?
You are talking to Michael Aukot from Siaya.
Sema watu wa Siaya.
But I have a question to Professor PLO.
Yes.
Now, I'm so much surprised because, as far as Professor is trying to go against the DBI bill based on the rule of law,
yes.
Then why are everything there only directed to His Excellency the President, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga? Why can't he pick up some essential points over it and tell us that this is a wrong point and it should not be the way it is aligned in the BBI process, and this is the right one, and that right Kenyans and right-minded people should support this, and if not, should follow this, and if not that, then he should be giving us the next thing is thinking about the BBI process, because he's telling us that in fact he's directing his attacks on the president and the Right Honorable Raila Odinga.
Okay. Hapo ndio iko makosa.
Yes.
Okay. Asante, habari asubuhi. Good morning. Good morning.
Gerard, good morning, Gerard. I was here. Now, let me talk about the elections, yeah? For me, the problem of management.
Lakini ulikuwa umeshakuja bwana. Aje kuna watu wako kwa line wengi ambao.
Nimekatika.
Sema haraka basi.
Ni sawa.
Sema haraka.
Nasema about management of elections, yeah?
Yes.
This issue of the Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Government interfering in elections is going to portend a lot of problems for this country.
Okay.
And because it is not being arrested properly, this is why people fight, because when people feel that the National Police Service is not neutral in these processes, they will resort to taking matters into their own hands.
Which is dangerous.
That will be the beginning of anarchy.
Okay.
So this thing, we need to focus on this thing and we need to address it now before we go to 2022.
Safi. Jambo, haraka upesi.
Yes, Bwana Gerard Bitok.
Habari ya leo?
asante. Mimi niko mzima kabisa. Mimi Kenya, mimi nasema tu haraka.
Sema haraka bro.
Hii BBI ni kama Tower of Babel, angusheni yote, hakuna mtu anataka.
Ai, huyu ni mtu wa Amerika. Amesema ianguke.
Kabisa.
Ai, haya. Jambo, habari asubuhi.
Jambo, my name is Jackson.
Yes, Jackson, very quickly.
And what I can say is that this process from the beginning, it was null and void, because from what the Constitution directs is that a president who is holding office cannot be a private citizen. We can't use the president to initiate a popular initiative, because the president can use the parliament. He always uses the parliament. If they want to remove someone from any position, the president directs, we don't need this person as a majority, the person is removed.
Okay.
Then I don't understand why
he's not using the same process.
You know, even professors are coming on live television to tell us our president can, you know, initiate a popular initiative. If the president at all wanted to, you know, amend the constitution, he should have gone to parliament, passed a bill, and then the bill would be subjected to a referendum, which is why we are saying that this process, I don't know even why people don't still get it after the court give a very, you know, detailed ruling that doesn't need even one to be a lawyer to understand.
Okay. And so, asante. Jambo, habari asubuhi. Bunge ni kubwa tafadhali. Ukifika unasema mambo yako haraka ukisonga. Sema.
Swali yangu ni kwa hii serikali ya Jubilee baada ya kuingilia BBI mambo na agenda ya Big Four. Waliweka wapi? Haya.
Baada ya kuingilia maneno mliweka wapi? Jambo, habari asubuhi. Haraka upesi sema. Sema mambo yako bana ukiingia. Huyo naye amesema. Jambo, good morning. Watu waliweka wapi maneno?
Morning.
Acha tusikie. Jambo, Dennis.
Yeah, my brother Gerard.
Sema na uchunga network.
Yeah, network ni kali ya jamaa wanarusha mabaluni.
Haya, sema.
Salimia hao wakubwa hapo.
Okay, wamesalimika.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask my two friends.
Yes.
And first of all, I want to congratulate the court as adjudicating their role in terms of being the guardians of our constitution. Something that Parliament has failed and the executive has failed.
Okay.
But also I want to ask my two friends, because we are talking legalists here and the law with a background that this government does not have respect for law. It doesn't have respect for intellectualism or policy.
Okay.
So exactly, if they haven't respected any court order for the last many years,
yes,
how are we then going to think that they will respect such a court order that spits on their face? That's number one. What nature of force will stop the decadence of this autocracy? That is number one. Number two is a personal question to my brother, President Havi. Politically, even as a virgin, he seems to have bent and taken trust on the same structures that have fallen this nation. Even if politics is local, I am confused whether he's going for member of parliament of Avanduvasi in Kakamega and not in Nairobi. So I'm asking him to stand on his own, you know, because his intellectualism and the capital that he has built as the president of LSK and others are going to be diluted by the kind of platform that he's standing on politically. Let him join us and my brother Aukot in ensuring that we have a fresh start in liberating this nation. Asante sana.
Hi, naitwa 96 fresh. Kuna kitu tulikuwa niweza 1963 fresh. Jambo, good morning. Jamaa kuja hapa, tutachukua simu ngapi? Jamaa mwananchi anasema power belongs to the people. Haya.
Mimi niko na mahakama.
Jambo.
Haya,
salama sana mambo.
Poa sana Maxwell here.
Sema haraka upesi.
Now, mine is very simple.
Really?
We are happy that the court declared Nal and his brother void our constitution. That was very good. and we are happy for that. Number two, what we are looking at is if these people are yelling around that this was not presidential, this was not state-sponsored bill, why is it that the AG is the one who is doing the appeal? Where does the AG come from on a private thing?
It's not a government issue.
Hatari sana. Jambo, habari asubuhi.
Wakenya wanauliza maswali.
Maswala nyeti sana. Sema nadi.
This is Thomas Jabuto from Kisii.
Yes.
My question is, if this BBI ni mzuri vile walikuwa wanaisema, mbona wanaharakisha?
Okay.
Hata sisi wenyewe hiyo BBI document hatujaipata, hatujaisoma.
Mbona wanaharakisha?
Mbona wanaharakisha?
Haya, jambo, habari asubuhi. Mbona mnaharakisha? Good morning.
How are you?
Simu ya mwisho hii.
My name is Mahmoud Hajir.
Yes, sir. Sema.
I'm greeting the president of LSK and Ekuru and the Professor BLO.
They have been greeted. I've also been greeted.
Assalamu alaikum.
After that, I want to also to thank the president of LSK, the work, the commendable job he's doing.
Yes.
Thank you.
And move on and look for that seat you will be given.
Okay.
Thank you.
Asante, atapewa eh? Haya. Good morning. Hello? Ukichuka simu unazima sauti pale nyuma. Kama uzimi na kunyonga. Good morning.
Good morning, Gerard.
Sema haraka upesi.
This is Harun from Western.
Yeah.
Vile naweza sema conclude tu vile Aukot anasemanga hapa ni Raila anachezwa. Kama Raila Uhuru alikuwa anajua hii IPC haiko na
Sasa niliwaambia baba anachezwa.
Ni baba tu anachezwa. Hii story yote la Uhuru alikuwa anajua vile itaenda hapo. Hata kotini atajua vile ilikuwa hiyo.
Yaani mnasema rais ndiye ameenda kotini akaambia majaji wafunge virago. Haya, sawa tumefunga masimu. Asanteni sana.
Hiyo muda yote mbona hapo anaweka kama commissioners wanastahili.
Haya, asanteni sana, bunge limefungwa. Asante, thank you so much for the guys who have called in. Watu ambao nimeonga masimu zao, poleni pia. Kesho bado ni siku. Wacha nipe nafasi because we only have 10 minutes. Wacha nipe panel nafasi ya kuweza kurespond to the calls. Alafu tunafunga virago. Haya, ndaanza na wewe Daktari Ekuru.
Yeah, kama kufunga tu nitasema hivi I think let's be very honest here and let's repeat. Okay. The president of the Republic of Kenya cannot now conveniently say I'm also an ordinary folk, so let me be allowed to initiate this process. That's not true, because in our constitutional dispensation, that he is not an ordinary folk. That's why we are giving him special treatment as our president. Okay. So this BBI was just a presidential and Raila initiative. It's not prescribed in our constitution. Okay. Kwa hivyo wakati na maoni yao kama watu. Ya pili, BBI lie that it was meant to unite us. But we have all seen, even in the process of BBI, it has actually divided this country more than united us. Okay. The political class itself has never been united. In fact, like people have been saying, kama hii bila haiwezi kuunite, kuleta pamoja Rais Uhuru Kenyatta na Ruto na wale wengine wote, itaunganishaje wa Kenya?
Wakenya milioni
50. Kwa hivyo wacha kudanganyana. Hata saa hizi unaona wakati majaji wametoa huu uamuzi, unaona vile already it's being used by the political class against these very very judges. You know, the judiciary is a creature of the very very constitution you want to amend, you want to change. Now if you are going to disparage this very judiciary in the way they do their work independently, then we are also being dishonest in our pursuit for constitutional change or constitutional amendment. Okay. Lastly, violence in by-election. We are seeing the return of the dark days of Kanu.
Okay.
Thika mzima nasikia stima imepotea.
Yeah.
Bonchari ni kama police recruitment. Unaona? And this just takes you back to the fact that there is still no lesson we can even learn from BBI. In fact, what is happening in Thika today and Bonchari is the reason why BBI must fail and must die. Because they are talking about electoral change in this amendment.
But it must be buried within 72 hours.
It must be. Prezo. Ukiangalia ile mambo yanafanyika Bonchari, hata nikutudanganya tu wa Kenya ati kwamba ati there is pursuit to change our elections. Puzi.
Okay, let me ask you, Daktari. So what do you think is going to happen now? The appeal has been it's been filed in court.
Has it been filed? That's only
I think there's a notice here. There's a notice of appeal. So anyway, as we move forward, because a lot might change between now and when we have another conversation.
My advice.
What do you foresee?
To be honest, well.
And what advice do you have for the
president? My advice for the president and Raila Odinga is this: just abandon this thing. It's bad for the country, even from your own calls, Bitok.
Yeah.
Wacha nikwambie.
Na watu siwajui.
Wacha niwaulize. Mimi hakuna siku nimekutana na mtu ambaye anasupport BBI.
Hata mimi.
Hao watu ni akina nani hao na support BBI?
Nimekuwa leo wagonjwa wa corona wanasema sijaona mtu
corona. They can go to the court of appeal.
Yes.
It is their right. And by the some of the questions that have been answered here, very very heavy questions. If this was not a government bill, why is the AG the first one running to represent the government and the president? So my advice, let's just abandon this thing. It's not really a priority for Kenya right now. What is a priority for Kenya right now, Bitok? Na tumesema kwa issue mara mingi sana. Hii pandemic, hii corona pandemic, ni vipi tunaweza kuvuvua ile kazi, small business, about 7 million of the small businesses that have been lost. Many people are actually now reeling in pain. There is a struggle about health matters. Really, that's our priority right now. BBI and spending 14 billion is not a priority for this country right now. And we can see that it's actually dividing us more than uniting us.
Okay. All right. Week. Your thoughts, Le President?
Jackson, ulisema null and void. Bet uliuliza, is a declaration the same thing as an order? Yes, a declaration is the same thing as an order. What does it mean? It means Uhuru Kenyatta, who is null, and his brother Raila Amolo Odinga, who is void, have ceased to exist insofar as the BBI bill is concerned. Kwa Kiswahili tunasema kwamba wamefekwa, na ukijua kitu kama kimefekwa hakipo tena. Sawa sawa. Dada Madam Tosha kutoka Tarbo umesema kwamba police recruitment in areas where elections are being undertaken must stop. I believe Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i has heard you. Tosha, rais mtarajiwa wa chama cha kongamano la amani nchini, His Excellency Musalia Mudavadi, hutembea kila mahali. Ni matarajio yetu kwamba mtazingatia maendeleo aliyoyaleta kama waziri wa transport, aliyeleta kama waziri wa fedha, aliyoleta kama naibu wa rais. Mimi sijamuona yeyote ambaye ako na ubatili, mtu ambaye ako na mkono wenye unaleta amani na baraka. Dennis, si kwamba mimi nimeungana na wale mabepari ambao wataki uwiano, amani na utengamano. Katika katiba ya nchi hii, siasa zimewekwa katika msingi wa vyama, na halitakuwa jambo la busara mimi kuwania kiti cha uwakilishi bungeni la Westlands kama independent candidate, ili hali kuna chama ambacho kinaambatana na maadili yangu na ambacho kimesema kwamba kitanipatia nafasi niwanie. Na nakurai tafadhali Dennis, kuja utupigie debe, unipigie debe, uhakikishe kwamba Nelson Havi ameenda bunge, ili mambo yote maendeleo ambayo mmeyaona katika wakati ambapo nimedumu kama rais wa muungano wa mawakili yanadumu kwa wote, Westlands na nchi yote kwa ujumla. BBI is a train that was doomed to derail. It has derailed. It cannot be resuscitated. Let us not be excited by these lamentations, castigations by individuals like Raphael Tuju, Paul Mwangi, et al. It was a perilous enterprise. Kenyans have been saved from the jaws of the tyrant. The people of Kenya, please do the right thing. Always reject tyranny, be it through a bill, be it through a by-election, be it through the subjugation of any of you. Mungu awalinde sana.
Even before you go, kabla Mungu atulinde, your party leader supports BBI. So where does it leave you?
Musalia Mudavadi has been very emphatic. When he went to Bomas, he submitted a memorandum and said, BBI is a good enterprise. However, there are certain fundamental issues that need to be incorporated. Did they incorporate those issues? They didn't. They ignored him. So that the sobriety...
So is he opposing now?
No, listen. The sobriety of his thought should not be confused. He has a clarity of mind on what he wants. In fact, after the judgment, he said, why don't we look for an initiative that is lawful, constitutional? What is that initiative? Through the parliamentary process.
Bitok.
Havi is being smart.
We'll
tackle you. We'll tackle you.
We'll tackle you.
We'll tackle politically now. Arudi sasa kama mwanasiasa. You should come back as a politician. We'll tackle you.
Mimi nikuja kama Thirdway. Tuchape siasa.
That is what we need to do now.
We have to tackle.
Piga siasa one of these siasa Wednesdays. Sasa nataka tuleta Havi kama mwanasiasa. Atuambie kwa nini.
Mimi si mwanasiasa, mimi ni kiongozi.
Bikira wa kisiasa. You guys wanna look like they'll violate you big time.
Mimi naogopa tunaweza kumnajisi kwa kisiasa.
All right, guys, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming in. Asante sana Professor Plo Lumumba for joining us on phone on the other line. I wish I could get your final thoughts, lakini masaa pia yametuacha. Asante sana President Havi, Nelson Havi. Na karibu wenye ulingo wa kisiasa yetu tutakuliwa hapa uko na crossfire ya kisiasa kuchanue na kunyoe. Haya, Daktari Ekuru Aukot, party leader Thirdway Alliance. Thank you so much for coming in. And watu wanasema wanataka kurudisha punguza mzigo. Lakini amesema kama punguza mzigo tayari iko kazini. www.punguzamizigo.org, www.punguzamizigo.com. Unaweza enda pale ufanye endorsement. Daktari Ekuru anasema punguza mizigo iko imerudi. Ndio hiyo nimewekea link hapo www.punguzamizigo.org. Unaweza kimbia pale uweze kuendorse. Hiyo ni project ya Ekuru. Amesema imerudi. Amesema BBI imezama, sasa amerudisha yake. Anasema anaita punguza mzigo ambaye tayari ilikuwa imekuja mbele yao. Tutakuja kuona atafika wapi pia akipunguza mizigo. Na nyinyi mnasema mtaka kupunguza mzigo, mtaka kuongezewa. Na hivyo ndio hali pia nchi ni yenu na nchi itasonga nayo. All the best my brother Nelson Havi.
Thank you.
As you basi the journey of leadership. Na pia tuambie rais, tuambie kama bado unasimama ama usimama. Unajua labda Havi angekuwa amekuja kwako lakini hujatangaza.
Unajua mimi nafikiria bikira wa kisiasa kama Havi angekuja kwa chama ambaye pia ni bikira kwa katika siasa.
Sikiza
mabikira wote ambadani.
Wacha nikwambie Profesa tarajiwa Ekuru. Kuna sababu ambayo Mungu alisema kwamba mwanawe atazaliwa kupitia katika tumbo la Bikira Maria. Uelewa?
Although hakuna jinsi ambavyo tunaweza kuhakikisha kwamba ilikuwa ni ubikira ama
basi hawa ni wao ambao wana imani.
But tulikuwa tunasikia kuna jamaa nasikia Yosefu alikuwa anahanganga hapo karibu.
Yosefu?
Joseph.
Yosefu
yule alikuwa fundi wa mbao.
Fundi wa mbao.
Nasikia tu alikuwa
area in the vicinity. So he never know he's hanging around the virgin.
Huyu jamaa hana utakatifu wa roho.
Fundi wako ambao ni nani?
Huyu hana utakatifu wa roho, so tunajadiliana naye
mambo ya kiroho na kiimani.
Nataka kuingia kotini.
Okay. Asante sana. It's been a pleasure having you guys. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming in. It's been a pleasure. The tacklers who have watched us and the contribution that we had on YouTube. Thank you so much for the YouTube guys who are the elders big time today. And also the guys on Facebook. Thank you so much for making it happen on Twitter. It has also been good. We really appreciate you guys. We really appreciate the callers who have been called in. Pale ambao walianza kufungiwa nje, poleni sana. Kesho pia ni siku tutajaribu kuweza kuzungumza na nyinyi as we continue the debate. Ambayo tumezungumzia leo. And I usually say the views on the opinions of the panelists does not necessarily reflect my own opinions as general be talk to your media or to tackle. So, come on, mambo tafuta. Until then, see you. This is Tackle now. Bye-bye. Signing out.